This plant is Vinca minor. Periwinkle is the common name, and this flower that you see here is, I believe, the reason you hear the color periwinkle. It's kind of a purpley blue color. Anyway, this is a great little ground cover. We use this a lot in our residential design work, and you'll see some examples of it here as a small scale ground cover around evergreen shrubs. And what I like about it is it's an evergreen mat. Our temperatures get down into the 20s and even the high teens occasionally during the winter, and also it's quite hot, gets around 100 degrees on a regular basis in the summer. So this plant can handle sun or it can handle shade. It prefers part shade to look its best, and you're going to see that in a minute in a bigger planting area under some trees, and it's really good for that. So here's one of some of the things I like about it. Its durability. You can walk on this to do maintenance. If you've got kids or pets around and they wander through it occasionally, it's not going to hurt anything. As you can see here in this bigger area, it's really a nice larger scale ground cover as well. But one of the things to tell you to really consider is this thing gets a bit aggressive, and unless you have larger shrubs like you see here and trees, it will eventually take over smaller plants. So herbaceous perennials or smaller shrubs are eventually going to get taken down by the aggressiveness of this ground cover. So just be aware that if you're going to use it, try and avoid pairing it with smaller plants that are going to eventually lose out. But that said, sometimes you see this yellowing out, and I see that more so in sunshine and full sun, and I think the combination of lack of water with full sun is really the biggest issue. I have this in full sun in my yard, and it doesn't have a problem with the yellowing out, but that's because I give it enough moisture to handle the additional heat, and it's fine with that, so it can handle that. Also, it's nice over walls or in planters, but again, in a planter, if you pair it with something that's a little more tender, eventually the Vinca is going to strangle it out. So even though you see that in a pot there, realize that in time that's going to take some maintenance. Otherwise, it's going to take over the pot. We specify this plant using 1-gallon containers. Some people use flats, but when I was in the industry early and out in the field a lot, we were using them in flats, and there was a high number of casualties going that route, so I really don't recommend that. I prefer 1-gallon containers, and this is a very reliable plant once it's about 2 years old, which is probably the age you're getting when they're a 1-gallon container. So prefer 1-gallon containers. And if with 1-gallon containers, this usually will fill in within a year to a year and a half on 3-foot centers. Also, this comes in a white flowered variety. Some other ones, I think Bowls is the name of one of the varieties with a darker blue flower, and you can also get this in variegated forms. So great little ground cover, highly recommend it, and whether you're near the coast or whether you're inland, it can be used in a lot of different ways. And make sure you realize too, this is not Vinca major, which is its larger cousin, so it does stay low, about 6 to 12 inches. Also, I was told by a client who lived in the Midwest where it snows that they had this in that area, and this would survive having snow on top of it for months on end. So I'm not sure about that, but check your area for suitability. Also, size-wise, this is typically 3 to 12 inches high. I've seen people mow this as well, so if you want to keep it down around 3 inches high, apparently you can mow it. I don't like the look myself, but if it starts getting to be more than you want, then that's also an option. And the maintenance on it is low as long as you don't put it in too tight of an area or against other smaller plants. If you do that, then it needs to be trimmed back away from the other plants, or as you can see here, it can start to kind of mound up on the edge and might need a little pruning for that reason. And that is Vinca minor. Periwinkle.